Another grave and unpardonable atrocity, this time in the United States of America, precisely in the state of Wisconsin. The tragic news, which I heard early this morning and repeatedly during the day, about someone's running into a crowd who were celebrating the advent of Christmas to some extent, in that they were participating or cheering the Christmas parade taking place in Wisconsin. Several children were severely injured, and I was told also that at least one person died, if not more. I cannot assume the depth of the evil which prevail over these human beings who knowingly and intentionally victimize children in this manner. I cannot even measure the punishment which they deserve, nor can I ever think of pardoning such offenders, at least in the very depth of my heart. Babies and children are the living representative and the personification of our Creator on this earth. If we abuse them, if we victimize them, if we kill them intentionally or for our own gain, or even in order to take revenge, we most certainly not merely sin, but commit grave offenses against their Creator, our Creator, the very Creator of the universe as a whole. In the Torah, both in the Old and in the New Testaments of the Holy Bible, we see the importance of children. We see, for example, even in the Old Book, that the Almighty speaks to Samuel, the little boy, in order to warn Eli. Later in the New Testament, Jesus Christ repeatedly points out the importance of the children's lives on this earth. He says, for example, "Let the children come to me, for such belong the kingdom of heaven." Or in another place, that he who causes one of these little ones to sin, it would have been better for him. And I believe that applies also to her, that a millstone be hung round his or her neck and thrown into the sea. Of course, by reiterating this passage or quoting this passage, I do not, and I emphatically say I do not, advocate unlawful killing of any human being, even the gravest offender who might have committed such offense against children. We have no right to take the law into our own hand, or hands in plural. Nor are we justified in taking a life for another life unless such be pronounced by a competent, impartial, and internationally recognized court of that country or of the nations, belonging to the United Nations organization, and recognized thus. But I am obliged to underline and maintain with all due respect, all due humility, and at this moment with all due rage, that those who commit offenses against children, intentionally or recklessly, ought to be brought to justice and penalized or punished in accordance with sound law of the nations, including the sound law of that country, befitting its proper and true civilization. Children are precious, as are babies, and they must be protected by all of us belonging to the world community. Unless we do so, we lack humanity, at least to the best of my bona fide belief, comprehension, understanding, and indeed conclusion. We have the right to live, but we have no right to kill anybody unlawfully. Nor are we entitled to expose others to the obvious danger of death. So is the situation in our world today, and so should it be in future. Those who believe in their own physical dignity and freedom ought not to expose others to the danger. Thus be the example, for instance, if I myself refuse to take a vaccine, but remain at home in my personal residence without endangering others. But if I refuse to take the necessary vaccine, while being a carrier of the disease, currently known as Corona or COVID-19, I endanger others. And to the best of my understanding, such freedom does not merely violate the code of conduct expected of every reasonable human being, but also it is most certainly a grave wrong, at least as far as moral standards can be set. Today, I smile at my own self, and perhaps also at those who thought I was doing something peculiarly long before vaccines against coronavirus or viri came into market. I persuaded a vet to inject me with the vaccines given to my cats. I took 3 of them in order to allow my body to build up the needful immunity against various types of infections. And by the grace of the Almighty, I'm still well. Indeed, I am sound in health. I said this before, and I have no hesitation reiterating it now. I'm already a man of 59 years and additional months. I never dyed my hair. My teeth are still my own teeth. And I'm still very fit. I actively participate in various types of activities, if I may reiterate that word. Yes, I'm quite sound in health. During the past 2.5 years or so, I hardly had any kind of infection, including common cold. Just a brief one, with some cold remaining. But I am quite healthy. I took the risk even of allowing myself to be injected with those vaccines given to animals long before they were recognized fit for human beings. So I fail to see why so many people are so strongly opposing today being immunized by vaccination. Vaccination is nothing new on our earth. Let us recall that great name of that great man who took the risk. I'm referring to Dr. Jenner, who took the virus of cowpox from cows and injected into a human being in order to ensure that that particular human being and many millions thereafter would be immunized against smallpox. Let us not forget that great scientist, Pasteur, who ensured that injections against hydrophobia or rabies could save lives. So why are we so afraid? And if we are, we should stay at home. We have no right to infect others on the street, in workplaces, in markets, on boats, on railway compartments, on various other types of public transportation, including tram cars, buses. And also if we share our vehicles with others. I find it's inhumane if people go on victimizing innocent individuals or groups by smashing their cars and setting alight, or even setting fires on police authorities, defense forces, who risk their lives in order to protect us, law-abiding citizens of their countries and ours. I do not understand why people become violent in order to prevent something good taking place. If that great Dr. Jenner did not inject a person with cowpox vaccine, or I should say virus, many millions would have died. If that great scientist, Pasteur, did not carry out his work by injecting individuals against rabies or hydrophobia, many individuals, numerous of them, would have died very painfully. So if the injection helps us to build up immunity against an illness, for our own protection as well as the protection of others, our fellow countrymen and women, and our fellow global citizens wherever they may be, we should take it. Risking something does not necessarily mean doing something bad if it leads to a good end. Each time we risk when we go onto a busy street that we might be run over by a car. Each time we take a risk when we build an aircraft that it may suddenly collapse and fall into the ocean or even on the land, as it happens from time to time. Each time we take a risk when we sit in a vehicle, especially in a fast-moving one. Each time we take a risk when we plunge into the water, that we suddenly do not become senseless and drown. So why should we be afraid? Why should we be afraid of taking vaccines which may protect us and others, our fellow countrymen and women, even our fellow global citizens? A question I ask my own self and leave the listeners and the viewers of this video recording, or I should say the live telecasting, to answer for themselves. With all due respect, I put this question before them. Indeed, with all due humility. And I beg you most humbly, with all due respect, do not risk the lives of others. To save a life may not be within our capacity, but we have no right to risk the lives of others, even by exposing them to various types of danger, even the ones caused by COVID-19 or coronavirus. I thank you in anticipation for your kind understanding, while bidding you the protection of the same Almighty who created all of us and who wants us to protect his creation, even to his greater glory. Thank you and good night from my country on this, the 22nd of November, Monday, indeed, of the Gregorian year 2021. I bid you my very best. And thank you once again.